Imagine becoming a prince, the son of a king who rules half the world, with the power to do anything you want. You could enjoy life, spend endless money, have fun, do anything, everything you desire. But the hero of our story did none of that. Instead, he almost caused the destruction of his own kingdom. Welcome to the Larasia kingdom, the most powerful kingdom in the world. And here is the surprise, Kirill will eventually meet that king. But in what way? Stay with us to find out. Welcome back to Akira Daily channel, and it's lovely to have you here. If this is your first time watching, then welcome to our small community. But hey, in our community there are some rules. You have to subscribe and like this video. Nah, I'm just kidding. It's completely up to you. There are no rules here. I'm just going to tell you a story and you can just let your imagination drive into it. Now let's begin. The kingdom of Larasia was a large coastal kingdom filled with people, prosperity and breathtaking architecture. It was spread from the kingdom of Kefors by a massive river, stretching hundreds of miles in both length and width. The kingdom was ruled by a royal family whose authority and influence surpassed that of any other ruling family in the world. Its king, Eden, had only two sons. The eldest was Salar, who was 13 years old, while the younger one, Artem, was only 6. Their mother had died while giving birth to Artem. One night, a grand celebration was being held inside the royal palace of Larasia. Prince Salar was sitting alone on one of the palace balconies, quietly staring at the sea before him. To be honest, Salar never liked parties and noisy gatherings. He had a cold and serious personality, and many believe that he became this way after the death of his mother. After a while, one of the servants approaching him and said respectfully, "His Majesty requires your presence." Salar stood up and headed toward the great hall where his father was. But the moment he entered, he saw a sight he personally found pathetic. His father was sitting lazy on a large couch, surrounded by drinks, fruits, and dancing servants moving around him in revealing outfits. Focusing on the story. King Eden spoke with unfocused eyes, clearly affected by the amount of alcohol he had consumed. "I heard you are not participating in the celebration." Salar replied calmly, "You know I've never liked these celebrations. That's enough, I'm here." Suddenly, the king raised his voice. "You are just like your mother, always having joy and pleasure." And before Salar could respond, the king began coughing heavily, and one of the servants quickly stepped forward to comfort him. She had red hair and bright green eyes, and she gently said, "Please, your majesty, let him go and enjoy your evening." At the same time, she glanced toward Salar, noticing the anger in his face after hearing his mother insulted like that. Salar waited for a moment, hoping to ask permission to leave, but seeing his father distracted by the servants around him, he quietly walked away. A few moments later, the red-haired servant followed him out, while the king remained distracted. She stopped the prince and said softly, "I am sorry for what happened earlier." She seemed embarrassed, trying to cover herself. So Salar removed his coat and handed it to her. Of course, it was so small for her, but at least it covered most of her body. She smiled faintly and continued, "Don't listen to him. Her Majesty the Queen was a truly kind person, and you inherited that kindness from her. That kindness is here, is your head. One day you will become a great king." Salar appreciated her words and thanked her politely. Then she stepped back and said, "Okay, I gotta go." The next morning, Salar left his room while thinking about everything that had happened the night before. He also thinking about his mother, because that day marked the anniversary of her death. As he walked through the palace, he noticed soldiers lining up outside and rushing back and forth in unusual excitement. He wanted to go outside and see what was happening. He overheard one of the noble women speaking excitedly to her friend. "Don't you know, there is another celebration tonight, and all the nobles will be there. Ah, I hope to get to dance with a handsome nobleman." Salar rolled his eyes. Handsome nobleman? Seriously? And another celebration tonight? Does the king ever stop partying? He returned to the balcony and looked outside once again. That was when he saw the soldiers returning victorious from the war against Kefors and bringing prisoners with them. But among those prisoners was the Princess Redia. When the soldiers arrived, the head servant in the palace began selecting the women among the prisoners. The most beautiful ones were chosen to become a servant in a royal palace, while the others were assigned to labor and cleaning duties. Then it was finally Radia's turn. Of course, no one knew she was the prince. And yes, there was some resistance. A few cries of "Let me go," and some energy shouting, and a little bit of "We'll never submit to you." But in the end, the guards forced her inside the palace. Later, in one of the palace rooms, Redia was sitting in the corner. He was chained. Then the head servant smirked the Redia's wrist with a heated iron rod. Some kind it was painful. Inside the palace, Salar suddenly rose from his seat in anger and headed straight toward the king's hall. The moment he entered, he shouted, "That's enough, father." The king paused, the servants around him falling silent as well. The king asked lazily, "What is it now?" Salar stared at him in disbelief. "How can you celebrate on the anniversary of my mother's death?" The king leaned back against one of the cushions and replied coldly, "Don't tell me what I should or shouldn't do, Salar. And besides, what makes you so sure this is even the day your mother died? It's been many years." Salar's expression darkened. "I remember what that moon looked like that night. I remember the sound of the rain. I remember which direction the wind was blowing from." Then he looked directly into his father's eyes and added, "So don't make excuses, because right now you look pathetic." And with that, he returned around and walked away without another word. The king's face twisted with anger. He was about to order punishment for Salar's disrespect, but the red-haired servant stepped in and tried to calm him. "Please, your majesty, don't be too harsh on him. Here, drink this and relax." She handed him the drink in a flirtatious way, which quickly distracted the king and calmed his mood. Soon enough, he returned to entertaining himself with the servants around him. But a few moments later, another girl entered the hall. She looked young, frightened. The king glanced toward her and asked, "Who is she?" One of the servants answered, "She is a new servant, your majesty. Her name is Redia." A slow and thrilling smile appeared on the king's face. "Girls, all of you may leave. Leave Redia with me." One by one, the servants left the hall, until only Redia remained, alone, with the king, that savage king. So, what comes next? What will happen to her now? And what will Salar do with his father? All of that in the next episode. Make sure to subscribe to watch it.